Walk is only. Don't just talk it, walk it. Don't just talk it, walk it. Walk is only. Don't just talk it, walk it. Walk is only.
What is going on, guys, and how are we doing? Today, as you can tell, it's just me, myself, and I. Basically, for me doing this solo podcast today, I kind of want to share a little bit about myself. Over the last couple of weeks, months, I've had people say to me in the street or, where I'm running or dipping or in the gym, it'd be really good to actually get to know the host. And I was first like, yeah, sure, whatever, if you want to. So what I've done over the last couple of weeks is actually put out there on social media, what questions would you like to ask myself? So right in front of me right now, I've got all the accumulation of all of the people who have asked me questions. And there is how many? There is 18 questions. First of all, I'm grateful that people are interested to find out a little bit about me. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to just get straight into it. And I'm going to answer these questions the best that I possibly can. So we're going to go straight from the top. Your journey, early days. What was your identity growing up? How much of it was tied to rugby? Oh man, straight away, that's everything. My life was tied massively to rugby. It was everything I ever knew, really. I wasn't the smartest of kids in school. I didn't really come out with many grades, but all I knew was that I was good at rugby. And like anything, the thing that we enjoy the most, we just lean into it. And I think that's what we do in life anyway, but with rugby in particular, from the ages of 7 years old, going into districts, academies, and everything like that, it was just, I lived and breathed it. I'd sit there on the weekends and watch every game. I remember just even wearing my boots, new boots to bed. If I had new boots, I'd be wearing them to bed to break them in before the game. I'd have a signed Johnny Wilkinson jersey on my wall. It was everything. It was everything to me. I remember just running the streets with a ball in my hands, calling out players' names and sidestepping, and it would just be me on my own in the street playing around. So it was everything that I did, and I just couldn't wait to play on a Sunday morning as a minis for Bridgend Athletic or district. Anything. It was everything I did, and then just moving on into Leeds. But it massively played a massive impact in my life, even down to little things of. I felt for a long time without rugby, who am I? And I felt when I lost rugby due to injuries, I felt like, am I good without it? Am I good without it? How do I validate mum and dad now? Because, they never created it, but definitely, when I was playing rugby, especially in Wales, you'd look over to the sideline and you'd look at dad and he would give me that thumbs up. And that was kind of that reassurance, like, you're doing a good job, keep going. And I knew straight away if I wasn't doing a good job. But as time went on and I got injured, I felt like for a long time that was the anchor of me being good. Rugby was me being good, because it was definitely not school. It was definitely not education. And detaching from that identity was something which was incredibly hard to do, but it was, looking back on it now, it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's helped me grow in so many other areas, but I'm so grateful for rugby also. I hope that answers the question. Second question. You faced multiple ACL tears and 6 surgeries. What was the moment that made you realize that rugby might not be forever? Probably when the surgeon told me you got to stop playing. You're probably going to need a knee reconstruction by 40 years old. Third ACL. In Brisbane, Australia, Dr. Peter Myers told me, the percentage of you doing your ACL again it's definitely high. And I think because they were so close together, from one ACL to the next, it was just like, this again, that war that I've gone through mentally was so hard. It wasn't even the rehab. It was just the mental battles I was going through every time I did do one, because I was still for so long, being on crutches for 3 months, or the last one, they broke the tibia bone, realigned it, and then I had to wait 6 months for them to refill the old holes in my knee, which they drilled into, to wait for them to fill. So that was, 6 months, and then I had to do a 12-month return. So everything together, there was like 18 months, the third ACL, before even considering going back to sports. So yeah, when I was 25, that was the time for me to say that's enough now. And that's when I went to do other things like triathlons and CrossFit, everything, you know. Mad to think now that I'm still, when you speak it out loud, it's mad to think now that I've gone back to the sport and, you know, played in the World Cup, played another year of championship rugby in England, and then now back in beautiful Wales, running around for my hometown team in rugby union. When you originally retired from rugby, did you feel lost? What was the hardest part of stepping away from the sport? Hardest part of stepping away from the sport was probably the text messages never coming in anymore. You know, that camaraderie, that group chat, the boys, the social, all of those things that came with the sport. It wasn't so much, you know, getting smashed on the weekend in the game or getting tackled and hurt. It was just that connection, that brotherhood that you were built. You know, regardless, you know, in the week you're training 3 to 4 times a week together. On the weekend you're with each other, and breakfast, coffees, you know, whatever it is, you know, you meet up with your friends, their partners, and it was everything. It was everything. It's far more than just throwing a ball around. That's what I lost. And it happens unintentionally. It really happens unintentionally. No one goes, you know, screw that guy, let's not talk to him anymore. It's just, you're not in that clique anymore. You're not on that purpose, that mission that they're on. And it was hard. And because it got taken away from me without my control or my swan song, just felt like it just felt extremely hard. But again, I reflect on it now and I take so many lessons from that journey, you know? Yeah. So, question 4. What was the turning point that made you start working on your mindset? Oh, gosh. I think it was because of the bouts, the roller coaster of the highs and lows from, you know, mid-20 to younger in particular, with feeling so lost. I knew, like, when the first time I did my first ACL, I was young. I was still in Wales. I was 18. But then when I did the second and third one, I was, you know, 23 or 24, and then the last one at 25, and I was isolated. I was on my own. So I realized that the cons of that, and I realized that what sport does really well, it masks over other areas of our life that we haven't addressed. And when you sit in solitude for a long time, you either deal with your problems head on, or they will eat you alive. And I couldn't keep running anymore because I had to be still. For a guy who was very on the go, I had to sit with these things, these little demons, you know, and we all get them. We all get them. Some must mask them better than others, but we all get them. It's just how you deal with them. And I realized pretty quickly after that, well, I don't like this, you know, this crazy overthinking, worried about the future so much, worried about the past. Who am I? All of these things. I just wanted to be at bay with them, just be content with life. And I know I've been there before, and I know I could do it again. So, yeah, made me go on a journey. Maybe go on a journey of finding my people, being more comfortable with myself, educating myself. That was probably the best thing. Was we have so many times people say, I just want to do better, blah, blah, blah. But what have you done to change that? And they're like, nothing. Well, no wonder you're still stuck in the same place. So for me, it was doing those things, you know, training in different environments, connecting with different people. For me, it was turning to faith. That was probably the cornerstone of my life, and still is today, is realizing I'm serving a bigger purpose than me. Everything that I do is for a bigger purpose than me, and that for me is God. And whatever it is for anyone else, that's totally fine. But when you know you're doing it for a higher purpose, it's just transformed my whole life, 100%. And then, you know, reading books, educating myself. I fell in love with a guy called Jordan Peterson. I fell in love with a guy called Tony Robbins. I fell in love with the mindset. I fell in love with the mind and nurturing the mind instead of running away from my issues. That's the crux of some of these things. And the life just got easier, got more comfortable with me. Yeah, and I could go on. Question 5. You walked away from rugby for 4 years. What did those years teach you about yourself? Well, I kind of just relayed that then. It taught me about myself that I'm far more than rugby. Let's just take it back, to decades and decades and decades ago. Rugby was never a thing. So who would I have been if rugby was never invented? I still had these core skills about myself. I still had these core God-given talents given to me. I would have just redirected that into something else. So walking away from the sport was a blessing, because I actually went to this retreat in Noosa, Australia. It was through the church, and I was so hesitant on going. And while we were there, we had this guy speaking on stage, and he said, "I'm an ex-junkie. I've changed my life, and I go around now America, Australia, all around the world, speaking and motivating and giving people hope, and realizing that they're designed for far greater things." And he said, "What I want you to do right now," he said, "I want you to realize that you have a God-given talent." Let's just say it that way. And let's just say that you would, out of 10, your baseline was already 6 at one of these skills that you've naturally got. But for anyone else, maybe they were sitting at a 3 out of 10. And for you to enhance this skill, you can get up to 8 or a 9 if you give the time and energy to this thing. So he goes, "What I want you to do this weekend is get your journals out, your notepads out, and I want you to think about your friendship circle, people that you've surrounded yourself with over the years. And I want you to think about times of your, think about places where you feel like you have a bit more of a natural skill than the other person, and think about the skills that they have." So I sat there and I was thinking, all right, well, what are my talents? What am I good at comparison to my friends? And I sat there and said, well, I'm definitely not the smartest. I'm definitely not the funniest. I'm definitely not the sport, the fast one. I'm sporty, but I wasn't, any of those. But one thing I definitely was good at was connecting with people and talking. My voice was my skill. So I said to the guy, I said, "Mate, this is what I think it is." And he said, "All right, well, you've wrote that down now. You've planted the seed." But he said, "The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit." So he said, just be mindful of this, but you've planted the seed, but this journey will go on. And then within a year of that, the opportunity to do podcasting came up. From that, then building a community. And then I started really tapping into self-development, growth. When I was connecting that with podcasting and business owners, I realized that business growth correlates back to self-development. It always does, because when we start to get the wheel right with you as a person, you can do whatever you want to do, but it all starts with you. You can make as much money as you want. You can grow the business as far as you want, but it always starts with you. So I realized that really quickly, and all the people I've listened to on podcasts and I've had on as guests in Australia, the UK, there's a common denominator in all of them, and it's them. They prioritize their well-being first. So, there's clues in that. So that's where the journey started with me, and I realized that this is my talent, and I'm going to nurture this and give this love to it every day. And it's done okay for, so far, for the last 5 years. It's done okay after realizing it. Question 6. You built a free community in Brisbane in 2021. Why was that important to you? Well, again, I realized that I work better surrounded by good people. Well, instead of me trying to chase the good people and trying to find these people, I was going to a gym in Brisbane. Function Well, it's called. Beautiful gym. And at this stage, we train 6 days a week. And then on a Sunday, I was like, well, I was not playing rugby at all then. There was a stairs in Brisbane called Kangaroo Point Stairs. They were massive, extremely hard, but there was a coffee shop at the top called Joey's. And if anyone from Australia has listened to this, you know what I'm on about. If anyone's been to Brisbane, you know what I'm on about. Well, what I realized was I'd do these stairs on a Sunday, and I'd do 10 of them, and I'd be absolutely knackered. But then I'd have a coffee with a couple of friends, and we'd just roll on from then. So I thought, bugger it. I'm just going to put a story out there. So got my phone out. Sunday, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, Kangaroo Point Stairs, anyone's welcome. Enjoy the vibe, this, that, and the other. And I just brought a speaker with me, because music is key. For anyone out there that wants to build something, an environment, outdoors, always have music. Got the music out. Next thing you know then, we were doing the stairs. It was 2, 4, 6, 10, 15, 20. We got up to like 50 people one Sunday. And I was saying, wow, look at this. And I just had this love of looking out and everyone moving, exercising. I was no personal trainer. I was just doing this because I love what I did, and I've done it long enough to know that moving your body does so much for you. So then what I connected to that then was getting a coffee with everyone. Next thing we know, and we'd do some meditation. And I thought, I had this calling, this gut feeling inside me to say, get up and start speaking to people. Start talking. So I started talking. And I tell you right now, it was pretty shit at the start. But I had to start somewhere. And just repetitively, every Sunday doing that, build confidence, realize it was okay, have an intention and work to it. And before you know it, this thing just started going and growing. And moving back to the UK now, moving back to Wales, it's just continued. I'm so grateful for it. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank God. What's the next one? Question 7. You went from being an athlete to a leader and mentor. How did that transition happen? Well, I'm kind of going through the journey right now. So after the Kangaroo Point stairs, I realized the benefit of journaling myself, building daily habits, giving myself targets to work towards, which were aligned with my goals. So what I started to do then, you'll laugh at this, but I bought a printer, I had my laptop, and I just started creating journals. And once I started creating journals, I'd even bind and fold them. I wish I videoed it, but I was binding, hole punching all of these sheets, 90 odd sheets, and hole punching them and, putting a binder in there. And I just said to a few people in the community, I said, look, just give this a go and let me know how it goes after 12 weeks, give or take, And I just noticed straight away the effects that it was having on people, clarity, less anxious, focused, reflecting, calculated goals on a daily basis and positive reinforcement. And it was just, before you know it, you connect, moving your body, improving your mindset, setting goals. And it was just like, this is amazing. And then I just fell in love more and more with the mind and connecting with people and having one-to-ones with people. And then I started bugging this. I'm going to invest in a mentor myself. I had a few mentors already, but I financially invested in someone because I believe if you don't pay attention in life. So I put physical hard money down, a couple of thousand. I think the first program I ever did with a mentor, and I tell you what, I listened to every word he said, and I just enhanced this vision that I had. And then from learning from the podcast, from self-development, from education, from surrounding myself and putting myself in the right circles, started to build a mentorship which was helping people. And the most selfish thing that I've ever done in my whole life was help others, because you don't realize what it gives you back in return. It's the trump card of all cards, is helping other people. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Question 8. You've worked with high-level business owners, athletes, and high performers. What's the biggest mental block you see in people? Oh, 100%. It's themselves. It's the fear of being judged. It's the fear of failure. It's the fear of putting yourself into a position where you can either sink or swim. But the most common thing that I see with successful people is they move quick. They move quick. They don't sit and dwell on things. They move quick, and if they make a mistake, they reflect on it, they see it, and they move again. They don't dwell on it for ages, and that's the biggest thing, it's just moving quick. And I make mistakes all the time, but I don't sit there and dwell on them. I rectify them, learn from them, and move forward, and that's how you grow as a person. But that's the biggest thing I've seen with a lot of people, and they're not scared to ask questions. They're not scared to be vulnerable and ask people, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, can you help me with this? And utilizing other people's strengths to benefit them, and they can benefit them. It's a universal law, which is so, so important. Question 9. You help people break limiting beliefs, but what was one belief that held you back for years? Probably the fact that I never really came out of school with good grades. I was just never interested in it. I was always interested in sports, and I always thought I was going to be professional for the rest of my life in sports. So for me, it was transitioning for people that I thought, were extremely smarter than me, and realizing that I'm just as smart as them. back then, I wasn't invested in this. I didn't find that purpose. But as soon as I found something that I fell in love with, you could throw any book in front of me, I'll read it. You'll find me educate myself online. You'll find me jumping to pay as much as I can to go on retreats, shows, listen to big talks, people, whatever it is, I'll do it because I'm invested in it. I love it. And I realized then that I am good enough. I am good enough. That was probably the biggest limiting belief is, am I good enough? And I'm 100% good enough. And I've proven that from my track record now. You have. What's question 10? What's the difference between being busy and being productive? Oh, gosh. But being busy is you're getting jack shit done, but you're stuck sprinting on the same spot. Being productive is actually having allocated things to do on a daily basis, which are aligned with your goals, and you're ticking them off. You're getting them done, and putting down what's the most important one of the day, get that done straight away, and then ticking them off 1, 2, 3, 4. What are my number 1 and 2 big tasks to get done today? Is this aligned with my goal that I want to achieve in 12 weeks? Okay, cool. What is that goal? And then you work your way back. So it's being productive in that way. I find being productive is, setting yourself up to be successful. Creating your life as if you are the CEO of your life. Scheduling your day. Finding out what is urgent for today. Scheduling out your week, delegating tasks you don't need to do anymore, and you can pass them on to someone who could be more effective at it, and deleting parts of your day that you don't need. So phone scrolling, catching up with someone you don't need to, jumping on Zoom calls that you don't need to jump on with work, and any other things in between that, just not required anymore. Question 11. Question 11. In 2025 alone, you've exceeded goals and signed new private clients. How are you handling this new level of growth compared to the old you? Well, the blessing behind it is being aware of how much I can give out on a daily basis. So the old me was in a different position in business where I was saying yes to everything to just get things on board and get this business generating, when I started it. But now it's actually knowing your worth, knowing what I can give a lot of time and attention to on a daily basis, which is going to be very effective instead of doing 10 or 15 tasks and being very poor at it. So for me, it's being capable of saying no, knowing what my skill sets are and how I can become effective with that, and having better systems in place. That's a big one for me, is having systems, and whether that's on my private coaching program, my group coaching program, or just in my community. And then from that, then how do I fix podcasting in you every week? How do I get the best performance out of my podcast? Where's my energy levels at? And just always comes back for me is tapping into the body. So just becoming attuned with my body. Where am I feeling it at the moment? And where's my energy levels at? Number 12, what's your biggest struggle right now as a coach and entrepreneur? Probably wanting to do everything at once. I'm a pretty impatient person. And if I want to do something or I want something done, I feel like I want it done yesterday. My granddad was like that. He was so driven. And he wanted to get things done now. And he couldn't handle people who take the time with things. Probably that. I have so many ideas, so many things, so many projects I've got going on the side, properties, business, and I want it all done yesterday. So that's probably it. I want to build a community so big that it inspires so many people to do what they want to do, all for the cost of nothing. I want that to be done. I want to build my area up so well that everyone in the area wins. I want all of that. I want it done yesterday, though. Question 13. How do you switch off and protect your energy while still performing at the highest level? Well, for me, is creating me time every day. So every morning I go to the gym. I come back home. I'll get my journal out and I'll dog walk. I'll just take my dog down to the beach. That's where I switch off. And then every night is making sure that phone is off at a certain time of night. Be present. When I go for a dog walk, leave my phone at home. And what actually happens when you do that is your mind becomes more creative. And I know I got to do that. Meditation's a massive one for me too. Just sitting there. So many times I've fought to, not sit there. Flipping heck, sit there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But I know the benefits of that once I do it. 14. You talk a lot about getting uncomfortable. What's a recent moment where you push yourself in discomfort? Gosh. Probably over like on a fear base. I did a skydive in Australia in January with one of my good mates. And I'm scared of heights. And we got there. And we were going to do the great Hamilton Island snorkeling. And the guy upsold us and said, look, jump on the skydive if you like for an extra $250 or something like that. I said, let's do it. Impulsively, let's do it. Let's get it done. And yeah, next thing, I had a poker face the whole time walking to the plane. My mate Shadzi was cool. He's done it loads of times. And this Kiwi guy was like, adrenaline junkie was the guy that I was strapped to. And he was like, you guys good? You ready for this? And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. But deep down, I was shitting myself. And we're sitting on the plane, and on the plane, it's this little tiny plane. It was just me and him on there. And it had red, amber, and green. And when the red light came, it was to indicate it was 2 minutes. When it was amber, you had 1 minute. And then when it was green, the shutter comes up and you're going to jump out. And the guy goes to me, right, who wants to go first? And I said, me, I've got to go first, because if I watch my mate go first, I ain't going to go. So I went first. And he said, sweet, okay, Ash, do you want to kick us out? My mate Ash was like 100%. I was like, yeah, he's kicking us out. So I got to the edge of the plane. And he goes, hey, one thing, you keep your fucking eyes open before you go out. That's what the guy said to me. So I've got my arms crossed, eyes open. And then I got Shadzi kicking me out of the plane. And yeah, that was a crazy feeling. You have to let go. So that was probably the most recent time I can really think about getting really uncomfortable. I don't find training anymore getting uncomfortable. It's just life. That's life for me. It's my routine. Question 15, personal growth and advice for listeners. What's one lesson you wish you learned 10 years ago? It's going to be okay. Life is beautiful if you let it become beautiful. The more you try to get in the way and take control of aspects of your life that you can't control, you're going to suffer. Yeah. It's all beautiful. There's a lesson even in the pain. And there's a beautiful moments around the corner. You cherish every one of those. Be present for those. 16. What daily habits keep you in control and operating at a high level? Getting the same amount of sleep every night. That's a big one for me. Making sure I drink 3 liters of water or drink around that. Making sure I speak to someone I really value on a daily basis. I'm an extrovert. I love being connected to amazing people. So just making sure I touch down, tap in with a good friend, family member. And exercise, move my body. And just being aware of what I'm doing. Being productive. Catching myself. They're my habits. Is journal, train, connection, and tapping in my body. What would you say, and this is question 70, what would you say to someone listening who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or afraid to take the next step in their life or business? Well, it's asking yourself why you feel stuck, why you feel overwhelmed, or why you feel afraid. And what's going to happen if you don't take that chance or that step or that opportunity? You're still going to feel stuck, overwhelmed, and afraid. So the pain that you're currently feeling is always going to be there if you don't ever take that step. So what have you got to lose? If it's changing a career and you take that opportunity, it doesn't work out, you can go back to a similar job what you're currently doing. If it is, reaching out to date someone. Well, what's the biggest problem? They say no. Okay. You learn from it. You go again. And in business, it's the fear that you're struggling to step into is a fear that's not going to grow your business. It's going to just keep you stuck. I think everything that we go through is all internal. So once you realize it's all internal and it's all suffering from ourselves, doing a business, stepping out your comfort zone, they're all fine. It's just trying it. But trust me, you'll never regret taking that opportunity. And if it didn't work out, you'll learn so much more about yourself. So the next time it's going to happen, because it will happen again, because if you're already in these positions, it's going to happen again. You're going to learn so much more from that mistake or that learning that when you go into the next one, you're going to be 10 steps ahead of where you currently were. Hope that helps. What's next for you? That's question 18. What's next for me? For me right now, it is my coaching business, continuing to grow me and my community, the podcasting, working with business owners, investing, but more importantly, just being true to myself. That's what's next for me, is continually to be true to myself and sticking to my values, my standards, and reaching out to the right people and connecting with the right people. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think from going away for 10 years to Australia at a young age, at 19, and then being in Leeds Rhinos from 17 to 19, and then doing a year in Manchester, I just feel like something really changed for me. I just see life through a different lens than being a big fish in a small pond. And I just have so much belief in myself. I have so much belief in myself, and I have so much belief in everyone else who's surrounded by me. And we're all going to win. We are winning. So wherever I go next, I know I'm going to smash it. Let's go. Guys, I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much.